7. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy, updating the defund, decarcerate, non-prosecution crowd. Takes us to Cambridge, Massachusetts, where they're doing what they said they would do. And I'm excited to see how it turns out. Meet the Cambridge care teams to respond to 911 calls. We could use them here, right? Because we've got a problem with respect to the volume of calls, 911 calls, and the lack of the corresponding volume of police officers.
We're definitely a pioneer in this approach.
A tentative plan to send a team of unarmed social workers to some emergency 911 calls in Cambridge could officially be rolled out as soon as next month, says Liz Speakman, director of the city's new Community Assistance Response and Engagement.
Having an unarmed civilian with experience in mental health going to mental health calls is really the right response.
Speakman tells us that the 5 members of the care team have extensive backgrounds as social workers and first responders. Unlike some other alternative response programs recently deployed in other cities across the country, the care team will not be accompanied by police when they are sent to nonviolent mental health-related calls.
If anything goes wrong, if there's any safety concerns, they can radio for assistance immediately and get backup right away.
It's an opportunity for us to help fix a system that's been broken for a really long time.
Care team member Marie Matthew is eager to start responding to emergencies that are presently handled by police with guns.
I think this program is an opportunity for us to take care of the people that we are trained to take care of.
Save that clip because somebody should play it at her funeral.
Dan.
I'm telling you.
I mean, it could be the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
No, but this is what's. But yeah, it was laughed at when people were proposing it at the same time they were advocating for defunding the police. Now it's reality because this is a mental disorder that these mental health professionals have, and it's going to get them hurt or killed.
The care team 5, like they're superheroes.
Somebody's
swooping.
Somebody's going to get hurt or killed. And that's just the nature. But, I mean, we see the same pathology in Chicago where you support politicians who support defund, decarcerate, non-prosecution, and then you get carjacked. Then you get robbed. Then you get sucker punched for no reason on the street. And it's so your ideology is a danger to your public safety. And they don't see it. And unfortunately, many of them won't see it until they're victimized. I'm just saying, that's Chicago.
Well, this is what it looks like when you defund the police.
For more on this and other matters of law and order, pleased to be joined by former Chicago Alderman Bob Fioretti, who is now the Cook County State's Attorney, the Republican nominee for Cook County State's Attorney in November. Bob, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Good to be here. Thank you much.
Well, in the wake of, more instances of violence and in places that are unexpected, like the couple last Friday night walking home from date night in Streeterville and gets descended upon by a group, the woman said, of 10 people who beat them both up. She loses her child. She was pregnant. The murder of Zet Rodriguez, that young man in the Dunning neighborhood, by 2 convicted felons. And what do we know about those convicted felons? Actually, we do know a few things. We'll get to that. The response from the, power structure in city government has been pretty tepid. It's basically been limited to Alderman Brian Hopkins saying we should have an 8 p.m. curfew in the city center. What's your response to these recent high-profile events that have people on edge?
First of all, I think this defund movement started a long time ago. The failure of both Daley administration and Rahm administration to fill the vacancies in the police numbers, and instead what they did, they cut them out of the budget. They kept lowering it. We now have maybe 11,000 police officers out there. What does that really mean when you think about it? Because it's a 24/7 job. They're on duty all the time. How many of those are administrators? How many of those are in the wagon to take people out? So we have scant resources out there. You're right when you talk about defund the police and the non-prosecution movement, because that's what the matchup of Kim Foxx, Tony Preckwinkle have caused, and the candidate on the Democratic side is no different. Now, what happened to that couple that was beat up in that area over there, it has been lately on Fridays and Saturdays a traditional gang hangout. We have to upgrade the charges. It's clear they should not have been charged with misdemeanors. They should have been charged with aggravated bodily harm on a public way, felony, aggravated battery with great bodily injury, a felony. But you know what? Instead, this government, this state's attorney, and I believe until I hear otherwise from the Democratic nominee, they want to charge him with the least punitive aspect. What does that cause? No consequences.
Yeah, and they'll probably be back out there again this weekend doing the same thing. But what about this 8 p.m. curfew? Is that going to do anything or give police any arresting power?
The numbers, because Alderman Hopkins may have some good intentions here, but I have defended city ordinances. I've rewritten many police general and specific ordinances, and orders, I should say. And when you look at it, it has to be narrowly construed. It's got to be you have to look at what the government interest is. You have to look at a particular area, a particular problem, and a particular group that you're trying to make sure you resolve the problem. I mean,
see, to me, this is all. I mean, to my mind, this is all a waste of time. It's really simple. Shot spotter or not shot spotter, curfew or not curfew. If you do not prosecute repeat violent offenders to the fullest extent of the law, nothing else matters. If you're going to do that, you're going to encourage the cops to be proactive if you have that relationship, and the cops do their job, and the prosecutors put repeat violent offenders away. The small percentage of repeat violent offenders who are responsible for a preponderant amount of the crime. If that is the only conversation we should be having, in my view.
All we should do is follow the law, and that's it. And if we start following the law, we can start cleaning up our streets. Maybe we should be looking at these parents where we have repeat numbers. You can't just do it because of one, but maybe we should start charging these parents. Bad parenting is not a crime, but if it's continual with your sons and daughters, it's time to start charging the parents. And we should be looking at a broader aspect. I mean, the biggest problem we have here in the city is we don't have any parents. Parenting isn't a job; it's a passion, and there's no do-overs with these kids. And what's happening in our neighborhoods, in our areas of the city of Chicago, we see it over and over. These are all preventable crimes, and if we start following the law. If we start following the law on vehicle stops instead of creating nonsense and taking guns off the streets, what we should be doing, then we can have a safer society. I know when I am the state's attorney, law enforcement's going to have an ally in that office.
Yeah, where's
she?
Where's Eileen Burke? I mean, and there's so many opportunities. There's so much going on. I mean, the Dexter Reed shooting and that woman who heads COPA wants these officers stripped of their police power. I mean, And there's no response from obviously there's no response from Ken Fox, but there's no response from the presumptive next state's attorney too, unless people start thinking differently. Eileen Burke, and nobody challenges her to respond to these high-profile incidences of crime, to this negotiation ongoing between City Hall and the would-be protesters about what will and won't be allowed to the DNC. I would think that the Cook County State's Attorney or prospective Cook County State's Attorneys would want to weigh in on that. And if the power structure as it currently exists doesn't want to send a message to people coming to Chicago during the DNC, then maybe a prospective Cook County prosecutor would want to do that.
Well, when you're looking at what Eileen O'Neill Burke is, she's a product of the Democratic machine. She gave $43,000 to be slated for an appellate court position that was unopposed. And who did she give it to? The Democratic Party, Mike Madigan, Ed Burke, and Tony Preckwinkle. $43,000 to have that job. And whatever happened after she then gave her announcement and said, I'm the nominee, what did Preckwinkle and they cut a deal? As simple as that. If we're going to start standing up for crime, if we're going to start stopping what's going on in our streets, we need somebody that's going to back our police, back our prosecutors, and follow the law. And I'm the candidate.
So what's your message to those protesters or worse that may be descending on Chicago during the DNC? What would your message be if you were sitting in that office?
You commit the crime, you're going to do the time. Simple.
And the proactivity from the prosecutor's office, from the Cook County State's Attorney's office, what would that look like, even if you're not getting cooperation, say, from the fifth floor at City Hall?
Well, you know what? I look at what the fifth floor has become. They are the defund the police. They are believing in no prosecutions. They are the ones who say, well, we shouldn't grade our students because, you know what, it's too much of a problem to have traditional standards of writing, grading, teaching, because you know what? If we do have those traditional standards, that's white supremacy and racism, and that all has to stop. We need to start establishing and bringing kids good education, good opportunities, and follow the law.
Is there any prospect that you're going to be able to beat Eileen Burke out of the brush and have debates and raise the profile on this race over the last 5 months?
Well, I'm going to start asking and calling for debates shortly on her and see what she wants to do. I know some of the media outlets, the traditional ones, have tried to reach out from what I understand from them. We're willing and able. We should probably be having it not just on television we should be in every ward in every city or every township. And if necessary, we've got 17 different county districts. We can have one in each district. Let's just do it. We can start tomorrow. I'm ready to go.
And when you're out there campaigning, what are you hearing from people?
I'm hearing the same thing. This has got to stop, whether it's a black, brown, or white neighborhood. They are fed up with crime. They're fed up with the way the spending is happening. They want to have opportunities for their kids. Otherwise, they've got one foot out the door, and it doesn't matter which neighborhood you're in. They all have a foot out the door.
Is Burke even campaigning at this point?
Well, I just saw somebody sent me something that she's having a private-only invite to hear community concerns at Navy Pier at some restaurant or bar or something like that. But if she's campaigning, I'd like to know, because maybe we can meet on the campaign trail and talk about what the real issues are and how we solve crime here in this city.
He is Bob Fioretti. He's a two-term Chicago alderman, now the Republican nominee for the Cook County State's Attorney's Office. By the way, are you getting support from the Republican Party to the extent it's discernible in Cook County or Illinois?
I think it's coming together slowly and surely, but they better speed it up a little bit, because we have a long way to go, even though the election will be tomorrow. But I do see changes between from Republicans, Fioretti Democrats, and independents are combining together, and we're going to usher in a new age here in this city and in this county, and hopefully we can stem the tide of what's happening here and prevent people from moving out and create the opportunities that are necessary.
And the website, if people want to get more information on your campaign?
FiorettiForCook.com.
FiorettiForCook.com. Bob Fioretti, Republican nominee for Cook County State Attorney. Bob, thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Talk to you all later.
Yep, thank you. Good luck. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Hear about the big stories of the day, then talk about them right here on Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Hey, business.